So hi, we're Flash, and I'm the CEO of Flash. So what I do is I'm in charge of the operations of the company and making sure it's running efficiently.
I'm Special Kahil, and I'm Chief Financial Officer for Flash, and what I'll be doing is making sure the finances of the business are okay, and I'll be negotiating with businesses on a monthly basis and a one-time fee.
Hi, I'm Omar. I'm the CTO of Flash. I'm in charge of making sure that our app is developed, and I'm in charge of technologies.
Hi, I'm Shweta. I'm the CMO of Flash, and I just make sure that we're working well with the customers and making sure they're happy, as well as making sure they like our product. So picture this, you're coming home after a long day of work and you just want to spend time with your families, but of course you have to stop at the grocery store first. Unfortunately for you, everyone else has decided to go grocery shopping at the same time. You finally manage to collect all your items and head out over to the checkout section. You wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, okay, this isn't Six Flags. Why are you waiting in line for so long? Once you finally get to the front of the line, you put all your items on the conveyor belt, have the cashier slowly check them out, and bag them in a way that you're not exactly happy with. Well, before you know it, 30 minutes have been passed since you've been at the grocery store. What happened to going home to spend time with your family? Well, we have a solution for you. With our product, you'll be in and out of the store in a flash.
A flash. You're probably wondering how this works. Let's get started.
So then here's our solution. What we want to do is first create an app in which you log on and you sign up. So when you log on and sign up, it actually saves all the data of the customer, so then you don't have to go back to it later.
So it's personalizing the information.
The next one is that we pick our store and the nearest location. This helps because you don't have to keep on looking around. You just have to find your location, and that's it.
And so what we learned through our MVP process was that store directors are like, you should probably use GPS location to actually find the store, because for customers to actually have to type in the store location each and every time is time consuming, and they don't always want to do that. So using GPS location makes it efficient.
So then we have my favorites. So whatever store you went to previously, you can always go back without looking for it again.
Now we get to the main interface. So how the main interface works is you'd simply scan a cereal box, for example. Once you scan it, it shows up in the items list. You can type in the quantities. You don't have to scan it more than once. You can also scan fruits and vegetables. So how fruits and vegetables work is there's always weight scales in the dairy and fruits and vegetables section of the store. So you grab fruits and vegetables, you weigh them. Once you weigh them, you type in the information and the weight of it. And after that, this program does everything for you. And then you can also put in coupons. So what we learned from store directors is that consumers don't make use of coupons. They give them the app. For example, Target. They have an app for coupons. They give coupons in a weekly mail or the weekly newsletters. But consumers don't make use of them. Consumers forget that they have them. So we thought of incorporating them into our app. So once you're done, you hit finish, and this is the main interface. So basically, this is the checkout barcode. So after you're done, you go to the front of the store, there's a kiosk waiting there for you. And there's also a weight scale built into the ground. So you'd park your car onto the weight scale, which has all the items on there. And you'd scan this one barcode. It'd make sure everything matches up. And once everything matches up, you'd hit pay and you'd leave. But we learned something else from our MVP process. We learned that you don't really need the weight scales. But we'll mention this when we get to the MVP slides.
And now we have a receipt. So once you check out, you get a digital receipt. This helps to keep track of what you bought, and it helps with returns. And now we have our competition. We have ScanIt and ShopRite. The thing with ScanIt is that a lot of employees don't know how to use it, so what's the use of having it if nobody can fix a problem? The other thing is that you have to put in your credit card information right when you open the app. This really discourages customers because nobody wants to put in personal information right when you open something. The other one is ShopRite. The thing is that the interface on that is really difficult to use. There's no coupons, you can't actually track of what you bought, so what's the point? And the other thing is that you have to register in store, so the only way to open the app is at the store itself.
And this app, similar to ShopRite, similar to what Walmart did about 10 years ago. Mr. McKenzie helped us find this. 10 years ago, Walmart did something similar to this. They were called Scan and Go. But what happened with their app was that it was too complicated to use. The employees didn't know how to use this, and so this idea failed. They spent about $15 million on this app to code it, to make sure everything works. They had it in each and every Walmart store around the U.S. And so they failed completely. You'll never hear it ever again. And so this is why we make it efficient.
For our customer segments, we'll be mainly pursuing for stores such as Target, Mariano's, most Costco or any chains. And the reason for that is they'll have unsatisfied customers because they'll have such poor shopping experiences. And it's what our app will do is mainly, it's kind of like when a mom buys a PlayStation for her child. The mom's the buyer, but the users will be the shoppers, which the shoppers will be aged 35 to 45-year-old adults. There's 38.5 million in the U.S. and 3.2 million in Illinois. And the reason for that we're targeting them is because they have the budget to go shopping on a weekly basis. They shop the most and they're not as patient. And they also are individuals who are married with children who can't find the time who need the time to go shopping with a decent time. Our unique value proposition for businesses are they're saving money on reducing employees. They're able to they have customer loyalty. They're modernizing the checkout line. And since we're a disruptor business, just like Uber, they're able to, before there was taxis, then you had Lyft, and now Uber, since it changed the whole game. With us, we're going to change the game of shopping. So in 2040, you guys will be shopping with Flash too. Our unique value proposition for shoppers is that you have electronic receipts, you're able to implement coupons, and it's an efficient way to shop.
So pricing, it's totally free to consumers. You aren't paying anything. The businesses are the ones that are paying. So the businesses pay a one-time fee of $35,000. This includes the weight scales. There's 10 weight scales costing $1,000 each. There's the network that we'd set up. The reason why we're setting up the network is to make sure that it's efficient and it works properly. And we're also giving you a kiosk. So one of the kiosks costs $3,000. And so we're setting up kiosks there too. And there's also labor. So that's a one-time fee that the stores would pay. Then they also pay a $3,500 fee monthly. This includes anything that goes wrong with the equipment. So instead of having warranty, we cover the equipment for you. We have 24-hour service, so we come in the next day, unlike cable companies. And then also with users. So with users, what we do is we actually help the users understand the product. Like what happened with Walmart was they didn't really go in. They didn't take the initiative to help the users understand the product, explain what they're doing. So we actually go and make sure the users like the product. We give them surveys to implement the changes that they want.
For our market size, for our total addressable market is $218 billion in the whole of the U.S. And for our serviceable addressable market, originally it was $40 million, but we think we could do with $3.2 million in Illinois.
So these are some of our SG&A and COGS expenses. To bring one out, startup inventory, we need about $37,500 worth of it. This includes the kiosks and the weight scale. The kiosks and the network. We didn't really worry about the weight scales because as we'll mention in our MVP slides, some stores won't need the weight scales because of RFID chips. And these are some of our monthly costs in the first 12 months. And then we get to our 5-year model. So you're probably sitting there wondering how we go from 105,000 to 536 and so on, and then we end up with $3 million. Well, let's get started. How it works is the reason why we go from 105,000 to 536,000 is because we have that one-time fee. So the one-time fee is a $3,500 fee. So each month, as we get more and more stores, the amount of fee, or the amount of revenue that we're getting it gets bigger and bigger because of that one-time fee. And this is why there's a drastic jump each year.
So for our MVP process, what we did is we visited stores and then had 3 different age ranges. And what we did is we wrote down what each customer would buy as well as how long they were waiting in line. We found that the average time was around 10 to 15 minutes. So what we did with our 24 to 34 age range, we found that there was a 50% success rate of if they would use the app or not. With our 35 to 45 age range, we found there was an 88% success rate, which again reinforced our idea that the target market should be this age group because again, these are the married individuals with kids who just want to get home on a weekday. We also had the 46 age range and we got a 30% success rate with that, and we realized that was probably because the older generation isn't necessarily familiar with technology and applications and such like that.
Yeah, like for example, I could get my grandpa an iPhone, but the thing is he doesn't use it. He doesn't like it. We could force older generations to use it, but they aren't necessarily going to like it. And overall, that's just ruining the shopping experience for consumers. Overall, what your goal is to make sure that they're enjoying their shopping experience. That's the point of having this app, to make the shopping experience efficient and the checkout process efficient for them, so that they're willing to come back.
So with that survey conclusions that we did, as well as talking to store directors, we found that we're not going to completely change the shopping experience because, as I said before, the older people, seniors, they just may prefer the old way, so there would still be an even distribution of both Flash and the old way of shopping. Also, we realized that weight scales may not be necessary. We talked to the Target store director, and she said that the RFID chips is what they're planning on implementing into the product, so this would actually help from theft protection, so we wouldn't necessarily need the weight scales because everything is already being tracked. We also talked to the shoppers, and they said that they would wish to have a phone holder so they wouldn't have to take their phone out of their purse or their wallet every time they're scanning an item. And they also saw a lot of value in this product and mentioned that initially this would work well for small businesses because their POS systems are a lot less complex.
So with POS systems, Mr. Anderhart came in, and what he told us was, talk to POS systems, see what they're doing. He had a problem with one of his companies, so we actually did this. We called Microsub, and we talked to them. We asked them how easy it was to implement the prices into our system. And what they told us was, it's all based on the contract that they have with the stores. Basically, all they have to do is type in a few more lines of code. It's not really hurting them, because they're not paying anything. So with stores like Costco and Target, it'd be more complicated for us to get in the first year because their contracts are so detailed. For us to get in is very hard. But with stores like Mariano's and Value Produce, it's a lot easier because the store chains are smaller and their contracts aren't as sophisticated. So we get to our valuation. So our pre-money valuation is about $4 million. We're asking for 4%. We're asking for $192,000 for 4% of the company. So this brings the valuation up to $4,391,000. Our exit value strategy. So our exit value strategy is to sell it in 5 years. We'd sell it to a strategic buyer, someone like the POS company, Mariano's itself. We talked to the credit card company it suggested during the MVP process. We actually called Amex before they got into a fight with Costco. And what they told us was it's too complicated for them to get that. They're just willing to deal with transactions. They don't want to get a system like this into their stores, into their credit card stores. And then our anticipated buyer. So we multiplied our net income by 5 and we got $17 million. The investor. So you'd initially pay $192,000 for 4% of the company, and 5 years later, you're getting $706,000. That's 4 times as much. And your IRR is 32%.
The future of shopping is in your hands. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we'd love to answer any questions.
Well, the money you guys make is solely based on that $3,500 a month fee, I imagine, correct?
Yes, because we're charging $35,000 monthly, but we don't really want to rip off the store.
No. 35,000 is one time.
One-time fee, yeah.
Yeah, and then 3,500 a month.
Yes.
That's where
Yeah.
your
Okay.
money
Making,
comes. So,
yes.
did you guys do research on margins of the smaller chain supermarkets? What they average per shopper in profit? Because they're pretty thin margins, and it's based on volume.
Very tight margin business.
Right, so now you're gonna add in, you know, $35,000 one time and a $42,000 a year charge. What's it take for them to recoup that?
Yeah, so what we did was we actually asked them how much consumers spend on an average or on a weekly basis, and we went to Mariano's, for example. What the store director of Mariano's told us was they spend an average of $100 and $150 weekly on the consumer, on the products. And what we also researched was, we asked the store directors, if we were to implement this system into your stores, would you really need the 10 employees that you have at the cashiers? And if we're hypothetically speaking, not all 10 of them are working at the same time. There's only 5 or 6 of them working. The other 4 of them are walking around. If you go to Target, for example, they're all walking around. And so what we did was, we talked to them and we're like, do you really need the 10 employees? And what they told us was no. If we were to implement this system into their stores, they'd only need 5 to 6 of them, and they're also saving money on this. Because if you take minimum wage, $10, and multiply it by the 40 to 50 hours that they work on a month, that's way more than 10,000, or that's way more than 3,500 is. And so that's the direct, sorry.
So, I get that, and that's all fine and good, but technology always breaks. Those people, those 10 people that you have walk in the store are there for comfort level for the shoppers. Hey, where can I find napkins? Where can I find, here you have something input and it breaks and there's nobody around to help you. What kind of backup system do you guys have in place for support for these merchants? And, you know, to ensure that that doesn't happen, because I can imagine that if it's 5 o'clock and there's 100 people shopping at Mariano's trying to buy dinner, and the food's getting cold and they're not getting what they want, they're gonna just walk out and leave. That just costs the store a lot of money. So what is that you guys gonna do to guarantee that?
So to go back to with the employees you're talking about, they're there to help the store, the customers out. The 10 cashiers are the cashiers that always work as cashiers. That's what the director of Mariano's told us. They have different people to stock the items. So the cashiers are working as cashiers the work week. So they have 10 cashiers working as cashiers. They have other people doing stock ups. So yes, they'll switch, but they're cashiers. And so if something happens with our product, that's why we're charging so much money. We'd actually go in to physically fix the product. And if something
It's too long. What's the plan? You guys gotta have a plan, an immediate plan. Somebody's gotta be trained on site, whether it's a hard reboot of a system, training, something. You're gonna have to, you know, have that in place in order for that to work in an environment like this. Because remember, these people want it, they want it now. You don't wanna wait. You gotta wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to another store. You know, so.
Yeah, that's what the one-time fee does. We actually train there's actually 3 to 5 people that we train at the store. These are the people that make sure the systems are working efficiently, and those are the people that talk back to you. They talk to him, make sure everything's working efficiently. Something goes wrong, they'll talk to them. They'll try to fix it. If they can't fix it, the initial stuff. So like when you call a cable company, for example, they'll tell you to reboot the system. They'll try to help you on the phone. But if that can't work, we'll actually send someone physically out to help you. And so initially, we have the 3 to 5 people that we train. And this is why the one-time fee is so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Can we back up a little bit? I really enjoyed when you began the presentation and you were showing all the shoppers in line and all the groceries in the cart. It is irritating, no question about it. So I think your pain point was a good one, and I think we've all experienced that. And I think that one of the things that we talked about earlier was that particular fix. It's a real difficult one because people have been trying to fix that for a while. So you've got a couple of different ideas, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around which one is actually going to work, and hopefully your MVP may answer this a bit. So is my target the customer, or is my target the store? So which is my target?
The store.
The store, okay. So if the target's my store, now I would imagine that we've got to think about the store and the benefits to the store. So I just wrote down 3. You said it's going to benefit my store because it's going to improve my customer's experience, right? Because if I have a happy customer, then of course that person's going to hopefully buy more and visit more, right? You said more efficiency, right? And I would imagine that the other one is saving money, right?
Yeah.
The disruptor is not a benefit to my business. The fact that you're disrupting what somebody else is doing, that's not really benefiting me, other than it's just a terminology. That's a definition that is what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does this equate to revenue for my store? Because remember, what's my bottom line if I own the store? I want to increase revenue, right? Yeah, it's good to have happy customers. So if I were to weigh dissatisfied customers, but I still have tons of revenue, my customers don't really need to be that happy, right? So I think it's ways in that scale is like revenue-wise. And Ted made a good point. He's saying, okay, you're asking the store to pay a one-time fee of $35,000. Then you're asking the store to pay $3,500 a month, ongoing forever and a day. How am I, as a store, going to recoup? One is less employees, you said, right? What logic do you also have for the amount of money that the store is going to make? How is it going to increase my revenue?
So to go back to what you're saying, do you know the self-checkouts that they have currently at stores? They're actually paying for those too. There's another company, there's companies that make those, and so they're paying those companies a one-time fee as well. That's what we learned from the Mariano's director. He's like, it's not, once you buy it, you keep it. They actually have companies that they rent the things out, the self-checkouts out from. And so instead of having to use those, we'd implement our system. And so that the money that they're spending on those, they actually spend a $4,800 fee on one of them. So we're asking for $3,500 for like all of them. And so that $4,800 fee that they're spending on each and every one of them, they're saving that money as well.
In addition, you said that like how would this benefit the stores, meaning like how would their revenue raise? Well, our main point is that the customers are going to be satisfied with this experience because it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
They're bagging their own items. It's totally in their control. They have
Yeah.
the freedom to do everything. So if they're loyal to that store, that means they're obviously going to come back there
Yeah.
and shop there
Yeah.
99 to 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So that's probably we're assuming that would raise their revenue as well.
Okay, good point. What do I do with, I've got all these groceries in my cart, and I don't have any, I just go into the scale, it weighs it, it corresponds with the app, letting me know that in fact, or letting the store know that we're pretty close, let this person through, right? They didn't steal anything. They didn't put cotton candy in their thing because it didn't weigh anything, right? But, okay, gotcha. So now I go out into the parking lot, and now I got all these groceries inside my cart. How do I take these groceries and put them into my car?
So bagging.
Yes.
Ms. Largo helped us with this. With
Okay.
bagging,
Yeah.
we put bags in each and every aisle. So we also asked the directors, we're like, what do you think of bagging in each and every aisle? And what they told us was some of the complaints that they get are cashiers don't bag the items correctly.
Yeah.
Senior citizens also have this problem. They try to bag their items correctly, but the store directors, the cashiers just won't let them. And so you'd bag them on your own, the way that you want it. So you're personalizing your shopping experience.
It's all up to you.
Okay, so I'm bagging it and putting it in my cart. Okay.
There's bags in each and
As
every
you-
aisle.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
This is just my perception, but, and maybe you guys are able to validate this, is there a movement away from self-checkout? So, for example, like at Jewel, I know that they had self-checkout by my home, but they've since replaced that with like an advanced express checkout, but it's at their manned stations, so there's no more self-checkout, and now there's express checkout. And I've seen this at a few other stores. Is that a trend, or is this just a...
What we learned from Jewel with that was they're having too much problems with the self-checkouts. For example, when you put an item on the self-checkout, what's that one noise it makes?
First beeps, and then it says like, please like take your item off the bagging area because it just doesn't know like what's on the weight scale and what's not.
And so consumers absolutely hated this. They were complaining to the
Yes, right.
store directors.
Well, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? It's what's input from the store
Yeah.
for the people. And
Yeah,
if it's not
it's a mess,
done
right? Yeah,
it's
you like
gonna
when it
be-
takes up and you want to get it into your cart right away.
Yeah.
And then also, if it's bigger than what the piece is that you're supposed to put it
Right.
on, then somebody has to manually come over and scan it for you.
Yeah, so then it's like, what's the point of self-checkout?
Did you find that in your research though? I mean, are stores going away from self-checkout, at least?
Yeah, so what happens is, for example, with Jewel, what happened was they got so many complaints with that, because every time, let's say I went shopping, every single time I would go shopping, there'd be at least one problem with the self-checkouts. So I'd have to go to a manual person. And so there's so many complaints that these people are getting, and their contracts are also almost done with the stores that they had. They had 2 to 3 year contracts, and they'd renew them, and they stopped them. And so after the contract ended, they just moved out away from that.
So, kind of to the earlier question, so there's 10 people at a store, maybe they aren't super tech savvy, but they're wanting to push themselves forward to where they're adopting this, and they've all got a question. I can't get this one item to scan, or like, what happens? Like when it bottlenecks like that, where do they go? Do they go to the customer service desk? Like how does that? walk me through
So the process, remember the question mark? We have it on here. So you want to explain that?
So like what we did was like on the app itself, we have a question mark in almost every single one, because each interface.
It's at the top.
Yeah, so like it's on each interface. So whenever you have a question about whatever like problem you have, it'll usually answer the question itself.
And if not, you go to the customer service and they help you
If
answer
it's
it.
like
So
a bigger problem.
the intention is to build self-help into the app,
Mhm.
almost like FAQ, and then if I still need help.
One of the most irritating things too is, we were talking about that queue in the line. So we got this big huge line, and now we finally get to maybe the first, I got one more person in front of me, and now they call for a price check in aisle number 5. And it's like, come on, right? So you got that, and hopefully this will resolve that kind of an issue where we'll know that ahead of time it's going to scan the proper.
You read articles about like smart carts where they're going to have this RFID reading tech. Like, how far did you explore that? Is that an imminent kind of reality? Whereas I'm dropping things into my cart, it's just automatically picking it up on the cart. So the cart itself, for all intents and purposes, is the app.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that technology exists. What stores, for example, Target, what they're doing is they're just implementing RFID chips. They've learned that theft is a big problem that they're having. So they're implementing RFID chips, and it also takes them such a long time to scan each and every product and get it onto the system. With RFID chips, you just take the scanner, go down with it, and it actually scan everything. And so they're taking one step at a time. And so for them to get smart cards and RFID chips at the same time is too complicated. So they're taking it slowly, step by step.
Yeah.
And with smart cards, they haven't really researched on them. Yes, they exist, but there's more research that they need before store directors actually ask their directors and the people at the top of the chain to actually get these for their stores. They want more evidence. This is why the first year we focus with smaller stores. So that with bigger stores, when we get to the top of the line, we're not just there with no evidence. We want to show evidence to prove that, yeah, we're real and this has actually worked in our stores, smaller stores.
That it has value.
One other just observation, so I've got 4 young kids and my wife will go to the store and I know she'll take at least one, sometimes all 4 of my kids, with her or I could take them. And that is, you guys aren't there yet, but that is a cumbersome kind of situation. In particular with my kids, if I pull my phone out, they want my phone a lot of the time. So I wonder, what does it do to that process? If you're there by yourself, you're trying to manage some kids. So, as you think about your target audience on the consumer side, where is that funnel? How wide is that funnel, or how narrow does it really end up being? Like the practicality of actually doing this, I think it'd be great for you to have captured that somehow, or if you can't capture it, the next week, whatever that looks like, would probably be a really good thing. Draw upon that experience.
Yeah, so something else we learned with that was that's the exact same problem a consumer told us. They're like, when I'm shopping, my kids are begging me for my phone. And so what they told us was, if there could be a holder on the cart, that'd benefit it so that when they're playing, they can play with the phone, you can switch it, it makes it easier to scan too. So you'd have a holder on the cart so that they can play and you can switch. And when you have an account set up with us, this is exactly what it does. It saves all the information that you had so that your kids can X out of your thing, hit the home button, play with their games, and then switch back.
And it might work the other way, so I bring that up, but if you could bring the kids into the equation so it's fun for them to do the scanning,
Right, yeah.
that might happen as well, right? So it's, who knows how that could end up, but I think you gotta test all those things first.
The other pretty difficult ask is you had, what was the dollar amount that you were asking for? You had for 4%, I think it was, $192,000, which makes the value of the company what?
$4 million.
$4 million, and you don't have any sales. So how do you justify wanting $192,000 for 4%? We don't have any sales. It's a wish. I know you're basing it on the future and what the potential is, but in real dollars, when you're asking for real bankers or real PE companies or investment, it's really tough investment to make $192,000 investment for 4% of a company that hasn't had sales. How do you justify that?
That's exactly what we were thinking about 2 weeks ago. We're so worried about this. But then what we learned was the app itself is going to cost us between $70,000 and $150,000. We talked to an actual person. He told us it would cost us about $140,000. But then Mr. McGann posted 2 websites. So one of the websites said $150 and the other said $70. Then we looked at 2 more websites and it was the same thing. So what we did was we went with the higher amount. So we went with the $150 just to be on the safe side. And that's just a one-time fee. After that, to make updates and you want to explain the updates?
So the updates for the POS system, if, let's say we have a new product or something that you want to put into the thing, so it automatically updates that, and then so that was the 150 would just go in just to the app itself, and then later on the other 42 would just be for all the technology.
The technology that we need.
Yeah, so my question really wasn't about how much it's going to cost you to get up and running. My question is, how do you justify a $4 million valuation when you don't have any sales yet?
Prototype. Yeah. And this isn't a novel idea, right? People have been trying to tackle this for a while, so it's not really hinged on the idea.
So you're saying today, this day, right now, I'm worth $4 million. I'm saying why? Why are you worth $4 million right now?
So what we're doing is we're changing the checkout process. We're making it efficient for consumers, and ultimately, we're trying to help businesses get a better return back to them. So we're trying to increase their profitable margin. And so, let's say on a typical Saturday, you want to go grocery shopping. You see the parking lot of Target, and it's so full. So you're just going to avoid it and go to Walmart. And Walmart's the same. So you end up going to Julasco because of the parking lot. But you actually like Target more. But you don't want to go there because of the long lines. So this is hurting the businesses themselves. So we're actually helping the businesses make a bigger profitable margin. And so this is helping businesses not only grow, but expand their revenue margin.
And as they grow and expand, you guys are worth more money.
Okay, well, we've got a better return. I think your IRR was like 30% or something.
32%.
Okay.
And out of all the people that we've, oh, okay.
I have a question, from a user end standpoint. So, my family, we eat pretty much the same thing. Like every week, my list looks pretty similar. Does this app allow me to maybe click, click, click before I even get there? And so that pretty much all I'm doing is going in, I pop up my recycling bins, because I used to use recycle bags, right? I line them up in my cart and I'm just, so I'm even faster. Does this app allow for me to re-enter currently used products?
So yeah, you can-
Frequently used
A
products.
shopping
Yeah,
list, for
yeah,
example.
you can.
So when we were giving our MVP presentation, Mr. Again, who was the person that was here? Mr. The one with the
Gerhart?
glasses?
Mr. Gerhart?
Yeah, Gerhart. What he told us was put in shopping lists and put in all these things, but don't start off with that. Start off with something simple, and in the future make these updates. Put in the shopping list. Use a shopping list. Do you really need it right now? No. Just start with something simple, and then after a month or two, incorporate that into your app. Because yes, customers actually have the same shopping list week to week, and so for you to put that in there with check marks, it makes it efficient.
Yeah, I'm not looking to actually input a shopping list. What I'm looking for is that I like Dannon yogurt, and if I type in a D, Dannon yogurt pops up because I've scanned it so many times it knows I want it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
yes.
will do that.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so I don't want to go in, because I can write a list, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to even get out of there even faster.
I wonder what the ratio is of people that really just want to get out of the supermarket versus, I enjoy walking around. I place my items in the right spot, so when I check out, I know what they're gonna bag. Gives me ideas for dinners, you know, it's
It's an
very
experience, right?
visual,
Yeah.
you know, and they do that on purpose for you to, you know, buy stuff, so.
We actually have a ratio for that too.
Yeah.
It's 60 to 40.
Yeah.
60% of the people actually, this is like a Monday to Friday type of thing. So on a Monday to Friday, it's 80-20. 80% of the people just go to the stores to go there, get their items, and leave. The 20% are more so senior citizens. They have nothing else to do.
51 years old.
That's what we learned. Yeah, they're taking their time, they'll look around. But on weekends, it's the total opposite. On weekends, it's a 60-40 ratio. 60% of the people actually just want to get their items and walk out. The other 40% want to take their time, look around, look for new products that came out. And that's another thing Mr. Gerhart told us to do. He told us to, so let's say you had regular Dannon yogurt, for example. Could you like update it to make it organic? So like it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's recommending other products to you.
Upselling you.
Upselling.
Yeah.
Which helps your store, because
Yeah.
they're selling more stuff.
Yeah, he's over the 45, I think it's 45-year-old, so you're the senior in the group, sorry. The rest of us now.
I think you guys have avoided scope creep pretty well on this thing, which I'm sure was really, really hard to fight against, because there's a million different
Yeah.
ideas you can incorporate, upselling and, I mean, recommended recipe, I mean, who knows what, right? All kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have avoided that pretty well.
Yeah, this was really a big task. I mean, you can see like from outside people looking in and all the different questions that we have, and you've narrowed it down nicely. And I think your presentation was out of the park, did a really good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. But we'd like to thank you too, because during the MVP process, we asked you for a whole bunch of ideas, and we actually did everything you told us, and that actually helped us. Trying to get Target to respond back to us was very hard, but after you told us to stick with the smaller stores
Yeah.
and see what they had to say, it actually made it easier for us, because they actually responded. We actually got to talk to Mr. Mariano.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
This concept's I'll
Yeah.
cook your food while you shop.
Right?
Bring it up if you
Yeah,
have
when
it.
you're ready.
Yeah, yeah, congratulations, good
Nice
job.
work.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Very nice.